Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Yeah, it was an opportunity for him to use his platform to maybe convince one or two of his teammates, and maybe he's doing it privately. He doesn't want to make it a public issue, but you could just see his hesitation, Peter, early on. He didn't even want to use the word vaccinated. He said immunized. He knows that that word itself has become a hot button. Oh, young, naive Florio. Giving Aaron Rodgers the benefit of the doubt that he was choosing his words carefully because he wanted to avoid any type of pushback for using the V word while he works behind the scenes to convince teammates like Alan Lazard to do the right thing. No, he was just full of crap. He was lying. And I am disappointed in myself for not recognizing that he was lying and for not calling him the liar that he is, Peter.
Well, Mike, I think that, as I've watched this thing develop over the last couple of days, one thing really stands out to me, and that is the deafening silence of Aaron Rodgers. And he could easily come out with some sort of statement and to say that, let's just say, hey, look, I was in the middle at that moment of a challenge against the NFL that I was convinced I would win. Or whatever it is that he was thinking at the time. However, if he knew at the time, if the NFL had already turned down his appeal of whatever the hocus pocus, quote, immunization was, and he said that, then clearly he has zero excuse for responding to that question the way he did. And he's got to look himself in the mirror and say, basically, if these guys who I'm talking to don't trust me in the future, I've got nobody to blame but myself.
It really is unbelievable, and I can't wait to see and hear what he has to say. First press conference or next appearance with Pat McAfee. He does that every Tuesday. How he spins this, how he deflects if he deflects, how he attacks if he attacks. I'm told he's furious that he was outed by NFL media as being unvaccinated, and I have a feeling that he will find a way to communicate that.
Everybody would know when it was clear he was going to be out, because if you're vaccinated, all you have to do at any point after you are found to be positive with COVID is to test negative twice within 24 hours. So you wouldn't be declared out for the Kansas City game if you still had a chance, if you had been vaccinated and still could have tested out of the COVID protocols. But the fact is, people have to know you're not playing against Kansas City. And whenever that happened, and when it was known he's not playing against Kansas City, then it becomes obvious.
That nuance will be lost on him, Peter. His position will be that what the NFL does, if you are positive for COVID, you get placed on the COVID reserve list. And the NFL does not, at least I haven't seen it so far this year, where someone is affirmatively declared as out with no chance of playing. By doing that, by taking that extra step, you are implicitly outing the guy as unvaccinated. Now, NFL media went one step further and reported with two names on it that he is unvaccinated. And look, it's been floating around for weeks that he's unvaccinated. But, I've spent a lot of time kicking myself this week for not chasing that one. I don't know how far I could have chased it. I don't know that I could have confirmed it. And I admitted yesterday, I decided it's not worth it because he can be a bit of a bully. And I don't want him, claiming I should be deplatformed for outing him as being unvaccinated. Because you know what? If he had never tested positive, we never would have known the truth. We never would have known the truth about Aaron Rodgers being unvaccinated. So it was out there, and now everyone knows. And my point is, Peter, the lengths to which he went to conceal it will make it obvious that he's upset that his little ruse got exposed. So he will find a way to lash out. He will find a way to turn the tables and make it not about him lying. He's going to argue, I think, he had the right to lie about it. It's such a personal choice that people should have the ability, if they so desire, to take extreme measures to conceal it. That's how important that personal choice is. I can already hear him trying to conjure it up that way, that it's a justifiable lie, and people lie all the time in football. People lie about this and they lie about that, and I'm trying to conceal a very delicate and personal and intense decision that I had to make, and I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I think that he's smart enough to try to kick something around like that, and based upon the way he's handled things in the past, it won't surprise me. But I'm just curious to see what he says when he finally speaks. Like you said, the silence is deafening. At some point, he's going to have to say something.
I mean, in my opinion, he should have said something already, whether it be issue a statement or not, because now everybody just runs with very, very strong opinions, anti-Rodgers opinions. By him saying nothing and not defending himself, I think what the general conclusion is he's got no defense for what he did, other than if he comes out and says, well, nobody should have known this in the first place. It's almost like, in some ways, what John Gruden's defense would be when he does whatever he does, or whether he ends up suing anybody over his divorce from the Raiders. You know, he's going to say those emails should never have been public. Well, I'm not saying that they should have ever been public, because emails should remain private. But once they are public, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So, you know, to me, I mean, it's obviously a much, much different case, Rodgers versus Gruden. But after you actually know the truth about what the truth is, it's hard to change your opinion about it.
Oh, you're absolutely right. But, you know, there are two different questions here. Gruden and Rodgers, very similar, different facts altogether. But the idea that they did something for which they deserve scorn and derision, but there is a way to make an argument that they've been wronged in some way, that his status was made public when in theory they twist themselves into pretzels to keep these things secret and quiet, and because NFL media is the NFL. And I've railed on this when it comes to reports from NFL media about players who have failed a drug test or tested positive for steroids, whatever the case may be. There's a very clear confidentiality provision in those policies. So if NFL media is the first to report it, that's basically a violation by the league of its own policies, because the league owns NFL media. And I know the union is waiting for the right opportunity to file a grievance, to make a big deal about it. The right opportunity hasn't come yet, but they're waiting for it. And Rodgers may point to this and say, hey, this is the NFL using its media arm as a way to do what it couldn't do directly.
I mean, that sounds like something that's very possible, because Aaron Rodgers is obviously a very, very intelligent person. And not only just intelligent about facts, figures, and whatever, but he sees things like this for all the potential areas that they can go in. One of them obviously would be that someone with the Packers told someone, or someone in the league told someone at NFL media what happened. So, you know, or however it was found out. You know, Aaron Rodgers can easily point to the fact that, why did the news break on the NFL's media center? And so it's going to be interesting to see what he says. And I doubt sincerely that Aaron Rodgers will simply throw himself on the mercy of public opinion, throw himself on the mercy of, look, I screwed up, I shouldn't have done that, you know, I owe people an apology. I doubt that that's what we're going to hear.
And Peter, before we move on to the broader question, the last thing Aaron Rodgers should do is try to peddle the notion that he was mincing words in a very careful way. The old Greg Brady, those were your exact words. They weren't my exact words. I didn't say vaccinated. I said immunized, because the direct question was, are you vaccinated? And he said, yeah, I've been immunized. And in the next breath, he said, I'm not going to judge my teammates who aren't vaccinated. Well, that's good to know. Since you're not vaccinated, why in the hell would you judge them? The whole context and the comments made it clear that he was saying, I'm vaccinated. So if he tries to thread that needle, that's going to get even more scorn and derision thrown his way.
You're right, and that's why I doubt. Look, I know how I would treat something like this if I erred and was sort of caught in it. But I'm not a professional athlete, and who cares what I would do? But the fact is, I think the obvious thing here is that, Aaron Rodgers needs to say something. And Aaron Rodgers needs to defend himself. If I were him, I would say something and get this over with. It's almost like the longer he waits, the worse it's going to be.
And just to put a button on it from my perspective, and after following this guy closely for the last decade and how he deals with the media, how he reacts to criticism, how sensitive he is, I think it's as simple as he didn't want to be vaccinated. He didn't want to say he's not vaccinated because he didn't want to be criticized for being not vaccinated the way Kirk Cousins and others have been. So he lied about it to avoid being the constant target of the criticism that we've seen directed at guys like Cousins. Now, Cole Beasley wants it. I mean, he's embraced it. He loves it. He relishes it. He revels in it. But guys like Cousins didn't come out affirmatively and say it, but he got knocked out 5 days for being a close contact, Peter, and he's had to live with it. So Rodgers saw that. I just think, plain and simple, Rodgers does not like to be criticized. And he didn't want to give us another basis for criticizing him. And, of course, the irony is it ended up creating an even bigger and more legitimate reason to criticize him because we caught him in a big fat lie.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.